Are you ready to elevate your fantasy team? Here is Joey the Tooth with your IDP update. If it's not IDP, it's not fantasy football.
Welcome to the IDP update, everybody. It's been a kind of a long-awaited return, but I've finally made it back to the screen. And I'm happy to welcome my first guest actually ever on the IDP update, my man at ZMagsIDP. Make sure you're following him on Twitter. How you doing, Zach?
Good. How about yourself, Joey?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to see you doing so well, dude. I must say you've been one of the most productive staff members we have in the past since you came on, man. And I really do appreciate it.
Oh man, I've told you, I don't know, probably plenty of times that I'm super grateful for the opportunity that you helped me walk right into, and it's pretty awesome to be being a part of such a cool group of people. We all joke around, and just it's fun, and that's what a lot of fantasy football is supposed to be about, is having fun. It's awesome. We get to help people, do good with their fantasy teams and all that. But yeah, it's great to be a part of the IDP guys, and it's awesome to be here with you.
Hell yeah, man. To have fun, that's the key. That's 100% the key. If you can't work and have fun, then it's not worth doing.
That's for sure.
So why don't you tell everybody what you've been up to with us recently? You've had a couple articles out, and you've just started something new with the team.
Yeah. Last summer when I first came on with you guys, I started off with doing a little breakout candidate series, which in the end, actually, was I don't like to toot my own horn too much, but sorry, my cat's over here messing with my camera. I hit on quite a few of my guys. A few of them went down with injuries, so that's kind of self-explanatory on why they didn't work out. But I'm actually I'm pretty proud of the guys I hit on. And I have I'm thinking it might be running tomorrow or Friday. I have my linebacker overview from the linebacker candidates I had. That's supposed to be coming out probably tomorrow or Friday. And then probably tomorrow I'll get to work on my the 7 defensive line guys I had written about, and get them out there and do the overview. And then come here in March, I will be working on the 2021 candidate series, the breakout guys. And yeah, I just started doing rankings for the IDP guys. That's a new thing for me. I've never done rankings before, so that was definitely a thing it was kind of interesting to walk into. I was like, oh man, 500 guys, it shouldn't be too bad. And then I was like, halfway through, I was like, holy crap, this is 500 guys. You can start getting towards that between the 400 and 500 number, and you're like sitting there like, man, a lot of these guys could be inexchangeable. They're
right.
But yeah, I put the guys that I didn't feel would contribute as much to teams. I put them towards the bottom a little bit there, and definitely be interesting when we get into the 700 range, for in season.
Yep. Well, so this is your first time really watching rookie tape this year too, right?
Yep. I mean, if you watch college football,
right.
I watch that every year. I'm not obviously, but I'm a big Notre Dame fan, so I watch them every year. And as I usually just watch who Notre Dame plays, and then throughout the year I'll watch a few SEC games, because that's the premier.
That's the Mecca.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll watch Alabama, I'll watch Georgia. Every now and then I'll catch a Mississippi State, or it's just who's on. And if I'm curious if I know about a college player that I'm interested in seeing how they're doing, how they're playing, I'll try to watch them on TV. But yeah, this was the first time I've really dug deep into some edge tape, or the edge rushers anyways, that we're about to cover here. And with rookies themselves, I'm definitely enjoying watching this film, because it I think you learn a lot about the players that are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. A lot of people question that little transfer to college to professional football, to see how well people can make that transition. And, the few of these guys we're about to cover, I think they're super underrated. And I mean, maybe not underrated per se, but I think they're going to make some noise for the teams that get drafted too.
Yeah, the edge class in general for this draft, like there's not that one player like that Chase Young or that Nick Bosa that really jumps out, but there's a lot of solid players.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna jump to a quick ad right here, and then we'll get back and we'll just lay down all the tape for you guys. All right.
Sounds good.
MyFantasyFootballShirt.com is your place to get top quality fantasy football gear. Get yourself some merch from some of your favorite podcasts. Need some custom shirts for your league? Contact us today. Just go to MyFantasyFootballShirt.com.
All right, man. So I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with Quiddy Pie from Michigan. He's a guy who I think I'm a little lower on than everybody else. I think a lot of people have him as their DL1, but for me, he's more like the probably 3 or 4. I mean, he's not as polished as a lot of the guys. He's got great foot speed. His athleticism and his power are phenomenal, and he
Yeah.
plays with great leverage. But I feel like he's a little uncreative, or he lacks creativity, should I say, not uncreative. He lacks creativity. Like he pretty much he sticks to his bull rush and his swim move almost every time, and he doesn't really counter moves well. He just sticks to his bull rush or his swim, and if it fails, he just tries to win with power and athleticism. And when you get to the NFL, that's not always going to work because offensive linemen are stronger, they're bigger. I mean, what I like about Pye is his strength and athleticism, but his ability to hold the point of attack as well is good because of his strength. So I actually picture him being more of a better run defender in the NFL. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, to pick up right where you left off there, I noticed that's one thing I definitely noticed about when I was watching tape on him. I feel like his strongest trait was his run defense. I mean, that sometimes, like a couple times I was just watching him, it just almost amazed me how well he would do to get to the runner, stop the run, close up his gaps. Where you first started off there, excuse me. Yeah, I noticed as I even did a little bit of reading up on him. Watch the film, read up on him, see what other people have to think about him, and I saw a lot of people think of him as the edge number 1, but I didn't quite see that with me. A guy we're going to talk about later, I think is possibly the best the edge guy in the class here, but. Yeah, I would put him in that like probably 2 or 3 range for me. Like I just don't see him being the top guy. One thing I noticed, maybe it was just me, but he seemed to struggle with larger linemen. Like you were saying, the linemen who seem to probably be a little bit stronger than him, a little better with their hands and quicker than him, he seemed to struggle getting off those blocks. And that's the thing when you take that step to the NFL. You're gonna, all the linemen are bigger, all the linemen are stronger, and they're quicker, and it's you got to be able to make that transition, and you got to be able to overstep them if you want to be successful edge rusher in the NFL.
Yep, I like what you noticed with the hands too, because his wingspan's a little shorter, so his arms aren't that great. He doesn't have great length, so when it comes to those bigger offensive linemen, they're going to get their hands on him first, and it's going to get him right off his rush.
Yep. Yes. And that's one thing too. I did notice, like when he has a really good point of contact when he first makes that initial contact with the lineman, he's good. But if he can't get off them right away, he's stuck, and that's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, like I said, like earlier, I was talking with the lack of counters. He gets beat. Once he's beat, he's beat. Yeah. So who would you like to see? Where do you think he fits best in the NFL? If you had to pick somebody, I know I kind of just sprung this on you now. I didn't give you this in the notes, but
oh no, I think we talked about landing spots a little bit actually.
Okay,
I have 6 written down. I'll give you 3.
Sure.
With J.J. Watt leaving Houston, that would probably be a decent spot for him. I also wouldn't mind seeing him in Jacksonville. We'll see if he even makes it to, Jacksonville's got a couple first rounders, so we'll see what they do. And my third was Minnesota. Ifeadi Odenigbo, I really thought he was going to be a little bit better.
Most of us did.
Yeah. Hunter should be back this year, but it's Minnesota needs a little bit of defensive line help. I think we saw that towards the end of the season, especially after they traded Yannick. So, that was those are the three of the main ones. I did have a fourth, but I mean the fourth is it's New England, and I don't know. I don't really want to see him in New England because you don't get to see too much rookie action with the Patriots. So.
I wouldn't mind seeing him go to Miami, another team with multiple.
I had that one written down.
Mm-hmm. Miami would be pretty good. Team him up with Emmanuel Ogbah. Ogbah had a breakout year last year.
That was beautiful. I chose Shaq Lawson as one of my candidates, and Ogbah made me look bad.
I wouldn't mind Cleveland too if J.J. Watt doesn't go to Cleveland. Have him team up with Myles Garrett. That'd be nice too.
Yes, it would.
Those are probably my two favorites. Maybe land in Philly. I mean, they're getting old. Derek Barnett hasn't really blossomed into what anybody wanted, and Brandon Graham's getting old. Vinny Curry's old. I think Vinny Curry's a free agent too.
Yes.
So those would be my three for Quiddy Pie.
Gotcha.
So let's move next. What do you want to do? Joseph Osai?
Yeah, let's hit up Osai.
Right. What were your thoughts on Osai?
One of the big things that stuck out about me with him was his ability to make impact plays. He's a playmaker. A couple of times, it did look like he was a little slow. But other times I was watching him, he looked like he had some really good pursuit. I think there was one play we were watching where he almost covered the whole sideline of the field and got this guy and tackled him. There was a running back, I'm pretty sure. And that really stuck out to me. He does have he's a playmaker. He tackles. He seems to be able to tackle really well. One thing may be considered a weakness about him. It doesn't seem he likes to play with his hand in the dirt too much. I think he's definitely going to be an outside linebacker, edge rusher in the NFL. We'll see where he gets drafted. It all depends on the scheme. But yeah, and then I noticed, he's got, let's see what I got here. Another thing I noticed too, I'm sorry. He gets around the edge really well. He's, so that's why I think he'll be really good for that outside linebacker position. But that's the thing too, is to be an outside linebacker in the NFL, you gotta have, good run defense. You got to be able to close those gaps, and you got to be a little bit better in coverage than maybe a typical defensive end.
Yeah, outside linebackers are asked to drop a lot more these days.
And that's one thing I noticed is that he seemed to struggle in coverage a little bit. We'll see. Sometimes that the transition goes a little bit better for some players than the rest. But yeah, those are I think the main things that really stuck out to me with him.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much all of that. What I did notice is he lined up in more than one spot for Texas. I did see him. He lined up at will linebacker a couple times. And like you said, he's got that sideline to sideline speed. So not only does he blast off the edge and he can play outside linebacker, he can shift to the middle if you need him to.
Right.
He's got positional versatility, but he does need to clean up his coverage. So he's not really great in coverage, but it's also just like a lack of experience in coverage. But I think what he could fit well doing is like a blitzing linebacker almost, kind of like how he's by no means, don't take this the wrong way, he's not Devin White, but like the way Tampa Bay uses Devin White in blitz situations.
Well, yeah, look at those 9 sacks this season.
Right.
So yeah.
If he can work a little bit, maybe start his career out as an outside linebacker, he can make a shift to a will, and then he can make a great impact.
I totally agree.
But yeah, his athleticism and his speed are his two biggest traits. And I think you're 100% right. He's going to be a 4-3 outside linebacker. Where would you like to see him land?
Well, it's kind of funny because one of the player comps I had to him, two of them, and they're kind of similar players, were Kyle Van Noy and Jamie Collins. I think he would be who'd kind of probably be a little bit successful in New England. I think he would fill that role for them pretty well because they're kind of missing that now, that Van Noy and Collins, and there was a third guy there that left and went to Miami too.
Landon Roberts.
Roberts. That's right. So yeah, that was I just thought he would stick there pretty well there in the Belichick system, and I also thought he would probably kind of play well. I thought I liked Miami because that's kind of the same system, and then I had Carolina down as well. I think he would be a good addition to that young defense.
Yep. Yeah, the only other one I would add to that would be Baltimore. Matt Juden's a free agent, and he's getting a little older, so they could use that outside linebacker. And they've shown with Tyus Bowser that they drop their outside linebackers in coverage. He dropped back quite often this season. It kind of blew my mind because I never saw Bowser as a coverage guy by any means.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Kind of blew my mind. But yeah, 100% agree with Osai. Yeah, we're gonna save him. Let's go to Patrick Jones.
Gotcha.
All right, Patrick Jones. What do you like about Patrick Jones?
He was sorry. When I was first started watching him, one thing he was one of the more balanced defender guys I was watching. I think he would probably do best as a 4-3 defensive end. He doesn't seem. I didn't really see him stand up much at all. If I'm remembering this film correctly, he didn't seem to want to. He was a hand in the dirt type of player. So I didn't think he would be the kind of guy that would really want to drop back in coverage. He may transfer well, kind of rotating around the defensive line. He could probably do that pretty well because he's a big boy. Was it 6'5", 260 pounds? Yeah. He's a big guy. He was also one of the guys. I think he was probably not. I don't know if the best, but one of the best run defenders we watched. I felt like almost any time I saw a running play with him, he was competing inside that gap. And I mean, I think a couple times I saw him bring down a runner with like one arm. He seems to do well with run defense. I think also he was he had a good variety of pass rush moves. A lot of I noticed a lot of some of the, not a lot, but the other guys we watched, they kind of mainly depended on that bull rush. And I think Patrick Jones is one of those guys that could go into the NFL and succeed pretty early because he has a variety of moves. He can do the spin. He does the bull rush, which is, one of those main go-tos for rushers. And he seemed to be, I think he needs to work on his hand technique a little bit, which because, like we discussed earlier, the offensive linemen in the NFL have a lot better hands. But I think he will do well moving up into there. If he just got to work on that, cleaning up that up, polish it. And I think he's one of those guys that can come in and probably start right away for who he gets drafted to. And he could probably take up a lot of snaps. I think he can be almost an every down player.
Yeah, and even if he is just a situational pass rusher, he's one of those guys like a Trey Hendrickson in New Orleans. He'll only play like 40-50% of the snaps, but he can come up with 10 sacks.
Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, he's got a crazy motor. He's super energetic. He plays with great leverage. He's got strong leg drive. He's got a good dip and bend off the edge, so he gets underneath the offensive tackles well. His spin move's phenomenal. Sometimes he unnecessarily uses it, though. He spins right into blockers. But yeah,
like he's trying to be fancy or something.
Right.
Right, yeah.
He's got incredibly active hands, though, at the line, swatting down passes, and he's good at he forced 4 fumbles in the last 2 years, so the strip sack is kind of like a thing he's been working on, it seems like.
Nice.
I would like to see him be a little more consistent in play recognition, because there was a couple of times where he seemed to get a misread, and I actually saw him got covered on the edge by a tight end. So he like the tight end just hit his mark first, and he was able to neutralize Jones. Saw it on more than one occasion, but it's mostly just pre-snap recognition. But
right.
His first step is blazing. He's powerful. He's long, and he's just a bull into the backfield.
Yeah. I mean, he was like I said, he was probably one of those, even though he's probably won't be an outside linebacker type of player, he was really, really balanced. And that's why I felt like maybe, going to the right situation, he could probably start and maybe become an impact player pretty early. So
Agreed. Where would you like to see him go?
This one I was a little interested in. I'll give you three again. I thought with I don't really know the situation with Carl Lawson in Cincinnati. I think he's supposed to be a free agent. I could be
He
wrong.
is. No, you're right.
I think that would be an interesting spot for Jones. I put Cleveland because I thought he would. He reminds me a lot of Jones. Kind of reminds me of Myles Garrett. I feel like that would be a good way for him to learn, especially from Garrett. I think they would team up pretty well and maybe help out Garrett a little bit there. And then the third I had was Las Vegas. Clelin Ferrell has not turned out to be what anybody wanted him to be.
And Max Crosby took a step back last year.
Yeah, he did. That was super disappointing. And I thought that would be kind of cool to see him go out to Las Vegas there, and I think he would be able to make some immediate impacts.
Yeah, shout out to Mike Wollert for calling the Max Crosby regression.
Yeah, he did. Not that I'm happy about it, but he called it.
I argued with him about it too, and he said, "You wait." I'd like to see him go to Dallas.
They need it.
Like Alden Smith is old. Obviously, he played great for his age and not playing for a couple of years. But Randy Gregory can't stay on the field. He's always suspended.
Everson
Griffin. He's probably a free agent now at this point.
I think so. Yep.
And DeMarcus Lawrence is good. He's great.
Yeah.
But he needs somebody across from him. And he always has. And he's never really had that one person to play up to his potential. So he can't really maximize himself.
Exactly.
So I think Dallas is a great place for him. Cleveland, of course, that would be a good spot. And I kind of wanted to say Tampa, even though they run a 3-4.
Yep, I have that written down too.
But because he reminds me a lot of JPP.
Yep.
I watch him play and I see JPP, just the way he's active at the line.
Yeah.
He's just always behind the line. So yeah, JPP is my comparison for Patrick Jones. So Tampa, I think, would be a good fit. And then JPP, I believe, is a free agent, and so is Shaquille Barrett.
Yeah, they're going to need to fill that spot.
So if they can't sign both of them, they need to fill it somewhere.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah. Now to our last guy and both of our favorites. This is actually my DL1, Azeez Ojulari. What did you like about Azeez?
This is just I don't know what it was that stuck out to me. He was just, out of the four guys we're talking about, he was the most exciting to watch. The big thing for me to start off with saying about him is he succeeded very well for multiple years in college against the best conference in college football. Let me say that. He can play in 3-point stance. He can play standing up. He's probably going to be a 3-down player in the NFL. He has really good reaction time. He's athletic on the edge. He has really great body control. He has a high motor and let's see. I had the only negative things I could say about him is I feel like maybe if he's just got to polish up that pass rush a little bit, but he has a really nice skill set. And to be, I think I have it written. He's 6'3", 240 pounds. That's not horrible size for outside linebacker in the NFL or edge rusher or defensive end. But he may need to put on a little bit of weight. We'll see though.
I agree there. He could stand to gain a little bit of weight, but then everybody said the same thing about Montez Sweat and Brian Burns, and they've succeeded great.
Yeah, especially Burns this past season. Yeah, both of them, this in 2020 were super impressive.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think Ojulari, I love watching his pass rush because he doesn't rely on one move, and he doesn't seem to force his moves. It's just like it comes to it's nature to him. Like
natural instinct. Yep.
Yeah, it's like he knows what move that's going to beat the lineman, and he gets in the backfield well. He's got a great swim move. He uses his hands well. He keeps keeps tackles off his chest. He's got a good fake. So I watched a couple times where he feints outside and then he bursts inside. It's almost, I don't know, it's just like one step and his burst is huge and then he hits the hole.
Yeah, I don't know. A couple of times, like you were saying, it kind of reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever seen that, the video of Danny Trevathan when he's going to rush the quarterback and he like just stops and acts like he's not doing anything. And he totally fakes out the offensive lineman and then runs past them and sacks. Yeah. And that's kind of what his Ojulari's moves reminded me of. Because it's like he's going like he's like he goes to move like he's distracted looking at something else. And it just that split second that he knows he's got the lineman off his guard and he gets past him.
Yep. Yeah, he's got crazy burst. His speed is phenomenal. There was more than one time I saw him come up with a tackle in pursuit. So his motor and his speed are great. Like you said, he's got scheme versatility. He can be a 3-4, 4-3. Super athleticism. He just needs a little bit better reaction time to run plays, but that'll come with time. I mean, he's still young. I think he's a sophomore and declared this year.
Yes. Yep.
And for those who don't know, pay attention to LSU because his little brother, BJ Ojulari, is a freshman, or he was a freshman this past year, and he's quite impressive himself.
You said LSU?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll have to look for that.
Look for BJ Ojulari. He was a freshman this year, and he was good. But who would you like to see Ojulari go to?
I'll give you my top three. My first one was Kansas City. Their linebacker situation is pretty questionable after Willie Gay. Then my second was Denver, because I think he would be really nice in that Vic Fangio system. I think Fangio could really make him into, I would say star. I think Fangio could make him into a star. And on top of that, I'm not sure exactly I think Von Miller might be in some legal trouble. But we'll see how everything turns out with that. And then coming off that injury, they're going to need somebody on the edge there. And then my third is a team you already talked about was Baltimore.
Yep. I personally would love to see him go to San Francisco.
I can understand that.
I mean, they had D Ford, who hasn't panned out. He can't get on the field. Kerry Hyder played well, but just think of somebody of Ojulari's potential filled into that Kerry Hyder role, playing across from Nick Bosa. It's like that's unbelievable, and it'll probably be a little more situational because you're going to have Eric Armstead, who can slide inside, and he probably will a little bit. But if you think of that line, if you have on the front, you have Bosa, Ojulari, Armstead, and then Kinlaw, stout.
Yeah, that would put them right back up there with Washington, in my opinion.
And then Detroit could use some more help off the edge.
Yeah.
And Trey Flowers, he was out last year.
Romeo. Romeo had a nice little come up this season. Super impressive. And then they also have his brother Julian still there. He missed the whole season, but the Aquara brothers are both in Detroit still, and we'll see how they do with this the new defensive coordinator. See if Detroit can do anything defensively. It's been a struggle for them for a couple seasons now.
Yeah, it really has. And then my last one was Atlanta. Atlanta needs some edge help.
Yes,
you can't get the quarterback worth anything.
Man, that'd be really cool to see him with Deion Jones and Foyesade. That's a really nice one. I like that as well.
Yep. So if you had to rank these four edge players, how would you rank them?
Well, first we'll go with Azeez Ojulari. He would be my number one. Number two, just because he was like my second favorite to watch, would be Joseph Asai. 3, I'll do Kwity Paye, and 4 would be Patrick Jones.
Yep. If you had to give them draft grades, where would you put him? Like, what round would you put him in? I'm really getting deep on you here.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I could see probably Ojulari going in the first round. I think despite our opinion on him, I think Kwity Paye will probably go in the first round as well. And I could see Patrick Jones and Joseph Asai going in the second.
Yep. So I have him ranked Ojulari, Quiddy Pie, Patrick Jones, Joseph Osai. Ojulari is just phenomenal. He's a first rounder for me. Quiddy Pie, just based off of his athleticism and his power, I think he's coachable. So I think going off potential there, I think he'll go in the second.
Gotcha.
Patrick Jones, I just love his pass rush ability. Even if he comes in part-time, it's going to be at least 50% snap share, I think. So, and I think he goes in the third, just
Gotcha.
because the fact that all the other positions in this draft are so much deeper that I think the edge class, which is normally one of the higher drafted class positions, kind of takes a step back.
I see what you're saying.
And then Osai, I think, is also a third rounder.
Yeah, I don't I like I don't disagree one bit, actually, kind of, now that I'm really thinking about it. That's another thing too is I think I think this free agent class is going to be awfully interesting. You got some guys that might be moving around teams quite a bit. So some teams might be able to fill up their needs via free agency, which might push back how these guys are drafted. So you're right there. I didn't take that in consideration, and I should have. So.
No, that's all right. I've spent a lot of time this offseason looking over rookies between the draft magazine and just it's kind of a new thing that I've fallen in love with. I can thank Lanny for that, Sean Lanigan. He got me doing it last year, and ever since I started doing it, I've fallen in love with it. So why don't you?
I'm definitely going to be getting into more film watching. I've was doing a rookie mock draft with Todd Foster the other day. And it made me realize how much, because he's an offensive guy. It made me realize offensive rookies coming in. You could get me. We did a 5-round mock, and I got to the 4th round, and I was like, man, I don't know about some of these guys, and I'm not going to be in that situation when draft season comes up. No. So I'm going to be digging deep in some of these offensive guys actually a little bit to kind of get myself a little better acquainted with them. I've always said my defense is my specialty. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty good at spotting guys that I think are going to be successul. I usually just kind of use my gut, and on top of that, I do watch them play. But a lot of it goes into the situations they're in, and I just I don't want to run into that problem after doing that rookie mock. So yeah, I'm gonna do a little boning up with this stuff there. But yep, I'm gonna enjoy watching some film for a while here.
Yep, definitely. But I want to thank you for joining me, Zach. Just so everybody knows, I consider him. This is my protege. He reminds me a lot of myself when I first started here. Just come in and just start content. Became a ranker after that, and it's just keep going with your content, get your name known, coming on podcasts. And when you got a bright future in this business, man. So just keep pushing.
I appreciate that. I'm really trying. So I went and got a new camera so I could. I didn't want to keep having that. I had that issue so many times last season.
I wanted to look a little more beautiful on camera. I don't know.
Thank you. This camera actually has a beauty feature, so I appreciate that. I'm really trying here. I kept my hat on because I have hat head, so I wanted to keep that going. But I went and got the camera because I wanted to be able to get on shows more often, YouTube, and all that, the periscopes, all that's kind of really controlling the podcast, the industry right now. So I wanted to have better access so I didn't have to worry about stuff getting messed up. And now I just got to work on maybe finding a different headset microphone situation, but hopefully I don't sound too bad. But
no, you sound great. Sound good.
Love it.
So why don't you give us a final plug? Tell everybody what you've been up to and what your plans are and where we can find you.
Well, we'll start off where you can find me on Twitter at ZMagsIDP. My DMs are always open. I have a few people who I are weekly asking me for advice, and I don't mind it. I am literally unemployed right now. I have nothing better to do. come give me some fantasy questions. If you anything you need, IDP obviously is my specialty. If you have questions about trades, roster moves, feel free to ask me. And when it comes to offense, I'm learning. I'm getting a lot better. If you just come ask me. I won 3 fantasy football championships this past season, so I'm
Nice.
not horrible. I'm going to be starting up my 2021 breakout candidate series probably early March, and I will have my I'm doing the rankings and rankings alongside like Hollywood and Kyle Bellafuel, Morgan McLean. We're doing those on for IDP Guys. And I will have, I think the next article you can expect to come out will be my 2020 linebacker overview and my 2020 defensive line overview, where I kind of discuss who I hit on and who I missed on.
Very nice, man. Well, like I said, thank you for coming on, and I'm just super happy you're on our side.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm super happy to be on your side as well.
All right, man.
Have a good one.
You too.